So we have a special guest tonight. Her name is Terra Ray. She's the project manager for the resurfacing project. So I know we haven't talked very much about it. We just sort of learned about it the last month or so and talked to the project engineer, her predecessor now. So it's almost a $12 million project, and it's going to resurface a lot of the roads on Siesta Key by grinding and putting new blacktop on them. So it's a big improvement. We've been excited to hear about it. And so Tara, please add.
I'm so glad you could come. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the warm welcome. Again, my name is Terra Ray. I'm the project manager for the Siesta Key resurfacing project. It's going to be a fun project. So I did leave some maps, some overall maps back here. You're free to keep those to get a better idea on where we're going to be as well. So again, the project information. So resurfacing Siesta Key is part of the Sarasota County wide roadway resurfacing program.
Can you speak a little closer than my?
Sure.
Yeah.
And soft talker here. I had to endure voice. This project does include milling and paving of pavement, pavement striping, some ADA ramp modifications, curb repairs, roadway base repairs, and some school zone sign improvements as well. Again, as he said, this project has a lot of lane miles, and 37.18 lane miles to be exact is included in this project. Next slide. Just some overall general project information. Sarasota County has contracted with Paving Industries of Florida LLC, and the contract was awarded to them for $11.36 million. And construction is beginning on May 23rd, and his estimated completion date is January of 2025. We do like to make folks aware this is without any foreseen weather. So those rain days and those other days will extend the contract. And the next slide, please. And so what are the contractors doing today? What are we going to start to see? So the contractor has supplied me with a schedule update for today's meeting. You'll probably start to notice surveyors out in the field. They're going to be setting some control points out there, followed up by some tree trimming. You'll start to see some tree trimming activity that'll occur in the canopy to allow their equipment, their larger milling, asphalt pavers, and also dump trucks to get access to the highway and through there. Concrete work, you're going to start to see some concrete work throughout the island starting next week. And then paving will be followed by mid-July. So what we're going to see is they've indicated they're going to start with Siesta Key Circle, kind of in that area there, and they'll slowly kind of work their way down south through the island. I'll discuss a little bit about when. So when will the contractor be working? The contract allows the contractor to work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, excluding holidays and weekends. So our 4th of July, we will not have any construction happening for any impacts to traffic. Another question. So the contractor and our traffic department are discussing the possibility for some night work on Beach Road. That's a good opportunity for, less impact to traffic to do that. So we might see that activity coming up as night work as they progress through the project. So
When you
which leads
say
me into the next question.
into Beach Road, which segment of Beach Road are you speaking of? There,
So that's,
near the village you're talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
That leads into the next question. So how will I know when the contractor will be working in the area? We've put together some resources on our Sarasota County webpage that is available. This first one here gives a general idea, overview on where the project is, kind of what's coming up, what's going on. correct?
Web address.
Yeah, yeah, so this is, so it is, I have it on the next slide, it's scgov.net.
I see your name, but I don't see the, so it's, we'll go back, right?
Someone would like a handout that will give you some other information you can use.
There you go. There you go, there it is. Yeah.
I've got one more printed if you'd like it. Would someone else like this one?
Okay, so
Yeah,
there it is at the bottom of the slide, scgov.net, capital projects.
so this one here will capture, it'll kind of give you an idea a week ahead. A week ahead, it'll give you a general idea and, okay, so we're gonna be working on this street, and this street. This will give you indication, it will include the streets in here that we will be working on for the following week. So this is a good resource to have. And next slide.
Yeah.
There you go. This is a good one here. So as you can see, hopefully you guys have all received postcards. We have lots of other social media, other updates that are coming out. The Facebook one, I don't know if anybody saw this one on Monday. This one came out on Facebook and what a great time. I'll just include this here. So you'll start receiving some social media updates and general updates as well. Door hangers. I brought door hangers with me. This is what the door hangers look like. There is one for day work. There's another one for night work, residential, mostly day work. And it kind of just says, hey, we're going to be working here in front of your house. If there's some asphalt overlay work going on, we're going to be working here in front of your house. Be prepared for us. And here's a little bit of information. I will leave these at the back table for you, so you can take a look at them and go through them if you would like. With that, I am grateful and I appreciate you folks letting me come and talk about the project a little bit. And I'll be glad to answer a few questions if you like.
I'm going, yeah, Bob has probably a good one that he thinks
Yeah.
people might be interested in closer to the beach.
Beach road in front of the county beach park.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's kind of wavy and it looks like the foundation of the road has failed somewhat. And I understand you're gonna do something special there in terms of restoring the smoothness.
Yeah, exactly. So the plans for that area through there, we are going to mill a 3-inch section of that roadway. Normal milling is 1.5 inches. This one is going to be 3 inches, and we're going to put down an extra structural base before we do our friction course. To get it better.
Smooth it out.
So, yeah,
That's great.
good questions. Have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
So you're saying typically they, when you say milling, does that mean removing 1.5 inches?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you'll see is the milling process is the first process that will come through. They will take 1.5 inches off the top of the existing asphalt that is there, and then they will replace.
Okay, so I have a specific question to our specific neighborhood because over the past, I don't know how many years, 30, they've, I don't know if they've removed any or not, but there's probably 4 or 5 layers of asphalt. So our road is really high up and everything floods in there every time it rains because everything just comes off the road both ways. Yes, so, yeah, I'm just wondering, are there gonna be any specific, like, are they gonna look at each situation individually, or are they just doing 1.5 inches and that's what they're gonna do?
So the project that we have at hand is a resurfacing project.
Yes.
So we will maintain and keep the existing profile of the road that is there. We are aware there are some drainage concerns that we will try to do our best to make better. So again, we're keeping the same profile of the road. Our task at hand is to resurface. and not
So
reconstruct.
in the past, this resurfacing. I don't know how many years ago with that, because I haven't been there way back, but I've been there for 20 years. Have they ever done that before where they removed part? Because it seems to us in our neighborhood that they've just been adding to it. It's probably that bit,
Yeah,
the asphalt.
I don't specifically know the answer to that question. This might be a good question for Public Works to answer. They come up with a criteria and.
Yeah, do you think there's any way to get a hold of them before they start hanging door hangers in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I can absolutely give a reference person.
Well, actually, I mean, we don't even know our neighborhood's included, but we can't.
No, it is, it's right there next to Fleet. Isn't that?
Leave.
Winding White,
Yeah, there's a bigger map back
yeah,
here.
I don't
Yeah,
mind,
we
I couldn't see it either, I can shoot it, try to, magnifying glass, and I couldn't
okay,
tell which one they're doing.
okay.
So that is Winding White.
I'm looking at the map you have up there, and I think the old SKA is that big open space right there. Like
So,
kind of towards the end of the Midnight House. Where it turns into the
Down
firehouse.
so.
I think that's the SKA, so that's where our neighborhood is right above that.
Oh, where the outfall was, yeah, where the water
Where it
outfall.
says winding way,
Yeah.
it's kind of a circle thing, where
Yeah,
it's the last one along the south
Yeah,
bound.
we know where you
Midnight
mean.
Pass.
Mhm.
Okay,
So right there.
we figured out that that's kind of what it is, but,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, we live, you know, Robert's been in a quad bathing before,
Okay,
you know, we have serious drainage issues.
yeah,
But they built Siesta Boys later,
so
I can
and it
absolutely,
all goes in.
absolutely give you a reference point for, Public Works.
you have the number?
Yeah, I can give you a contact,
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
I can forward that on to you.
Yeah, just
Is that-
stay in touch with us,
Or call 861-5000.
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Just tell me you need to talk to Public Works.
tell me you have a waterfall. No, I'm just kidding, I don't say that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, who's paying for this project?
So this is, the penny surtax, so it is a resurfacing rehabilitation program.
Can you repeat that?
So it is a penny surtax. Penny makes sense, and you'll see some signs out there as well stating that where the funding is.
Yeah, you probably remember a year or two ago, the voters approved a penny extra surtax, sales tax. And it gets collected and used, and half of it has to be spent on transportation. And they get a lot of money, but it pays for lots of things besides roads resurfacing. It pays for new buildings and capital projects in general. But it's, I forget the last time around, it was $860 million. So this is not chump change, but
Mhm.
and every time you go to the store, and you pay an extra 1% sales tax, this is what it's going for. But if you can look on the county's website, there is a nice list of the projects that are gonna be done this year and next year, and I think this got approved out to 2035 maybe. It was a pretty long this time.
Yeah,
And it actually has a list of projects for the next 10 years, what projects are to get done, and it takes an act of the BCC to change that list. So it's a list that the voters actually approved. It was part of what you voted on, that list of projects. May not have realized it because it wasn't written out there, but it's on their website too.
We should be able to provide that link for you. If you call us, if you can't find it, I mean, we can probably put that even on the website, but that's one of the things we can do is link you to that location so you can get to it more easily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is all county money, it's not state money.
I
right.
know,
Just
that's just us,
Your money.
yeah.
So I have a question. On your map, this is the Siesta Key project that we're specifically talking about. But why is the map showing paving off the key? Like in,
I just got the south end.
Yeah, so that it's connected to the south. There are a couple streets that are outlying right on the other side of the bay there, but
Hmm.
it's I think it's a continuation of the same map. kind of stuff.
So that can be done after a project's done
Yes,
before?
the contractor has indicated that, would like to focus, starting here. Yeah, and then work the way off the island
Okay,
and then jump over there.
So starting point is. Okay, so that's Midnight Pass. This is Midnight Pass down.
Yep, that's right pass. So you're gonna see Siesta Key Circle. Siesta Key Circle in that area is where they're gonna start. There is some FPL work that is occurring, some overhead to underground that is happening on Roberts Bay. So we're gonna kind of wait for them to get their work done before we go there.
I guess when you look at the map, there's not much south of Stickney Point except the roads around Ascary's house. Not,
Does that impact, so the bridge coming on the south bridge is that part of the road?
At Stickney Point, yes,
Yeah, so it's Stickney Point and over the bridge.
yes.
All right.
So I have one more question, and that is, on here, when you look at where the roundabout was supposed to be,
Mhm.
it shows green, like there's not going to be any paving done there. I'm assuming that outside of this contract is the area of that intersection right down here that was going to be improved with a roundabout and now is in the process of being canceled. Will it not get repaved?
No, I don't know a lot of the background information on that project and the impacts to this one as well. So that's something I can look into if you would like to
Yeah,
find that into.
I'm not suggesting a change of scope, but it hasn't been officially canceled yet, the roundabout. But at the last budget hearing, the county commission said 5-0, no roundabout. But they said to Jonathan Lewis, the county administrator, to go back and talk to the state about retaining the $2.5 million that was allocated for the roundabout and spending on some of the improvements for pedestrians and bicycles that was already designed. And so we're hoping maybe we'll get an enhanced intersection with a traffic light there and then repaving at some point in time.
Yeah, I'm not aware of some other design projects. I
Sure.
think until they're ready to be constructed, that is my wheelhouse. So that's where I become knowledgeable. So
Yeah, well, don't be surprised if you hear about it, but I understand it'd be maybe a big change order, but maybe the commission will find some money to do that with.
I was just gonna say that even though the roundabout itself wasn't a welcome entity, I guess, because of the way we were built out here, it wasn't that people didn't want improvement, I think it's it wasn't an all or nothing. There was a lot of good things they designed and things for wider, pedestrian areas and bicycle lanes and passovers that were smoother, and that would be road surfacing too, I would think. So we didn't want them to think that we didn't like it all. I guess that's the message, is that the roundabout itself was not a favored thing for a lot of reasons, but the enhancements were a good thing.
yeah,
So if you can take a message back, that might be a good one. Yeah.
So Midnight Pass and Ocean or not?
No, Ocean's not in,
Is
it's all
there
green.
a plan for that to happen in the future or they?
again, I don't know that information.
But for this, they can be touched during this time.
Right, yes.
They're clear.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
So I
good.
welcome you, absolutely. We have lots of resources that are out there. Kind of know what's going on and where we're gonna be next, door hangers, the web pages as well. We are gonna update this map, so as we start progressing, weekly, we haven't paved anything as of today, so they're all red. We're gonna start shading those a blue color. as we progress through the project, so you can kind of capture where we've been and where we might be headed to next, so.
And there's a link to that through the Facebook postings that you'll be doing, you think?
Yeah, so
That'd be
there's a
great.
link there. I know we're gonna be doing another Facebook Live here in the next coming weeks, so look for us there as well, and
Okay, great. And there are beautiful, she brought beautiful big maps back there that we're gonna be able to keep. They're really nice, so take a look at them before you leave, because you can actually see everything really well on them. They're like really professional.
yeah, so you
big
don't need
maps.
your magnifying glass.
Yeah, you'll-
Yeah.
You'll like those.
So I'd like to comment on the roundabout, since that's not gonna be there. It'd be a real shame, I got the paving equipment out here, not to connect those. I mean, for the dollar amount of extra, there should be an easy appropriation to expand that contract for that, for what it's gonna cost. You don't wanna pave all the island and the major intersection there that was gonna be reconstructed, just to leave that blank. It would be a real disaster, and I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback from that, so
Yeah,
I think you should you know, like that, should look at that and do a little due diligence on that intersection specifically.
It's like Castle Beach Road.
that's great. Yeah,
Bob, you know, that section of Midnight Pass Road that they're talking about, is that not, owned and maintained by the state of Florida?
No, it's not.
That's county.
Beach Road is county. And the Midnight Pass Road used to be state, 758, but its maintenance is now owned by the county. They did a road swap and the state picked up River Road and all the money to improve it for that part of the southern county, and the county owns
Sticky Point Road.
Stickney Point, also Heigl, and also the piece in Siesta Drive. The only thing the county doesn't own is the bridge. The state has retained control of both the north and the south bridge.
So the county now owns and maintains Midnight Pass Road.
Yes.
The entirety.
Yes,
mhm.
that's
Interesting,
true.
all these changes,
It's a big change.
yeah.
And I'm sure at some point you have a lot of work ahead of you to spend all of the resurfacing money.
Yeah,
It may not be this year, but hopefully maybe the roundabout area might make it. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll write a letter on behalf of SKA to Spencer Anderson, who's the county engineer. Say, now makes sense to do it. You should do it.
yeah, it's a good point.
And what I think is gonna happen within the next month, they will vote to formally kill the roundabout project. But it depends on what Jonathan Lewis is able to negotiate with Region 3 of FDOT as to whether they will agree to let some of the money remain on Siesta Key and be used for the promised upgrades to pedestrians and bicycle ramps, so you can get up on the sidewalk. The alternative that I heard some of the other commissioners talking about is to spend it on River Road. So, but I'm sure Mark will resist that, but you know, he's only one of 5, so.
Mhm. But we'll be speaking up.
But we'll write it.
So many more moving parts than you thought, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you
Thank
could
you
come
for your
out.
resources.
Yes, and be in touch with us if you think there's a link or anything that would help people just understand what's going on. It'll save a lot of phone calls probably. And you all, please do look at these beautiful maps she brought. It's kind of nice to see things large like that. You don't get to do that very often. So
I
thank
thank you in
you.
advance for your patience as we.
Yes,
Follow
thank you
through.
so much, and thank you for bringing everything.
Thank you.
Yes. We have a lot of information that Bob can provide, and hopefully it'll be encouraging. But I'm not sure we're gonna have time, but we do have some new news about the Stickney Point Bridge, right? Is it timely to say anything about that?
Sure.
Okay, do you wanna do that?
I can.
Okay. Guess what? There's gonna be some work, so. Yeah.
Hello, I have three things I guess I would need to cover now. One of them is the Stickney Point Bridge, the lift bridge down there. It's gonna undergo 200 days of maintenance work. And it's gonna be a big life extension. They're mostly gonna work on mechanical things and the underneath of the bridge, so it's gonna be working off a barge. And it really won't impact the traffic across the bridge unless you're driving a boat under it, and then there might be some impacts. I think it's supposed to start now, and you'll see a barge underneath there, and you'll see people working on that. The biggest change you might notice is instead of opening the bridge on the half hours like it does now, it's gonna be on demand, on a cadence basis. So if you got a boat, you'll have to call in and say, I need you to open the bridge up. And then they'll tell you, wait a little while, and then they'll get it open, and they're gonna try to get by with only opening one half of the bridge, the east or the west side, instead of the whole thing. But as you know, we had some problems. This was earlier this year, where the arms were locked down and traffic backed up and people went crazy. So I think this is good news, but it's gonna be like most things, it's gonna, especially if you're a boat user, it might frustrate you a little bit. But that's what we know about it. We got a email from the FDOT about it. And so if you got any specific questions, I can give you the name of the public affairs officer from District 3 that can answer questions for you on that. But it's mostly gonna be under the bridge. You might see a barge down there and you see people beating away on the bar underneath the bridge.
So Bob, are they gonna immediately start the changes for the timing on the bridge, or are they gonna hold until they finish?
Yes,
Okay, so they're gonna do both.
they're gonna start now. And it's gonna go on for 200 days, where the bridge will not be routinely opening. That's what the note says. Seems kind of strange, but then they say that they'll open it on demand, so I don't know what that means, that might have to wait a half hour when you call in on the radio, but
But the traffic will be good. The traffic will flow.
should be less disruptions,
With no interruption to traffic.
not car traffic, no,
It's good.
so
And
maybe
it's
that'll
gonna
help.
be 200 days of construction while they're doing it.
That's what it says.
Yeah,
Seems like a lot of work.
That's right.
a lot.
I know, no.
And after you get tired of that, the rumor is they're gonna start on the North Bridge and do something similar, so. Eventually they'll get it where we can't leave.
But no one can come either. I'm just kidding.
But no, I think they've worked with us well in the past, and so as we learn more about it, we'll share it with you and put it on Facebook, but that's where it is right now. And the same lady that's gonna work with us is the one that worked with us on the repaving in front of the condos. And all things considered, that went fairly smooth. So I'm hoping that she's got a guardian angel that will take care of us. Okay.
Really.
That was one. The second thing is Jim Wallace has filed a lawsuit as a Siesta Key resident against the Benderson Siesta Promenade project. Okay, and his lawsuit says it is unsafe to turn on that traffic light, you know, just a block from 41. You've seen it sitting there dead in the water. And the only thing that happened was they tore down all the trees and plowed up the Siesta Promenade area. So, you know, that thing's gonna get 500 apartments, 200 hotel rooms, and a grocery store, and a lot of traffic. And Jim said it's first it violates FDOT's distance requirements between the bridge and the traffic light. Shouldn't be another one there. And it creates an unsafe condition. And he's building off of Lourdes's lawsuit that said you can't change the density or impact the intensity on Siesta Key of traffic unless you make some adjustments. And his contention is that that traffic light creates an unsafe condition because every 2.5 minutes, it's gonna stop people for a half a minute. And it'll disrupt traffic. And I think he's got a pretty good argument. It's backed up by Lourdes's and his lawsuits and by DOA. And he tried one time before to stop it, and he went to DOA. It's a state agency review. And what they told him was he didn't have standing. And he said, well, wait a minute, how can anybody who lives on Siesta Key not have standing about this? And they said, listen to me, you don't have standing. So when he went to the 12th Circuit, just like Lourdes did, but that judge said, yeah, you guys out there do have standing. And DOA in Lourdes's lawsuit said that you can't change the intensity of traffic on Siesta Key. And that includes the 2 access roads, the North Bridge and the South Bridge. So that traffic light is part of the Siesta Key overlay district and comprehensive plan controls. So we'll see what happens. He filed a lawsuit last month, and the first hearing is in September. And so it'll be interesting. I think it's a huge delay. And you have to remember back when the county approved the Benderson project, they made them sign a binding development plan. And there was lots of argument about it. But one of the things that the citizens won out of that was they're not allowed to build the Siesta Promenade without a traffic light there. So this is like their Achilles heel. If you can stop the traffic light, you stop all of that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. And, a lot of people, Sura, and a lot of people fought really hard on that, but this is sort of like the last, but maybe fatal shot at this. So we'll see what happens. I know Catherine worked really hard with Benderson to try to convince them, no traffic light, just make better access lanes on 41 so people can come out and turn right and left, and they weren't interested in that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's been a long road, no pun intended. But I think 12 years ago, we met with Benderson, the Siesta Key board did, and went out to their big offices, even where they showed us all kinds of alternatives. And we'd seen other locations where they've done similar down South Florida, and it looked good. They were really good about traffic flow. And we had a great idea about having access lanes that just came off of the main roads and went right into the property, so it didn't affect the other people. And they said, oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. The same fellow I spoke with then is now the guy that Sura still has to fight with, and it's very disappointing. But it's been a long effort. And SKA also did file to intervene at the beginning of Jim's first lawsuit, but they told us we didn't have anything to add that made it more than what was already filed. So they didn't allow us to enter into it. Anyway, that's the backstory, and we're still got more to go.
The fight continues.
Yeah.
What can you say?
It's just,
All you can do is keep trying, pushing. It's like pushing a noodle, but maybe this will work. I sure hope it.
I hope so too.
And many thanks to Jim Wallace's personal fund to do this. And he's using part of the money that he got back from the county for winning the lawsuit like Lourdes did. So, it's kind of interesting circle that this is in. Let's see, the last thing I wanted to do is say there, even though you don't hear much about it, it seems like it's in a quiet period for the mega hotels. Have you heard anything lately about it? Very quiet. I don't know what is going on exactly. You know, they had workshops. And they were absolutely terrible. They were Zoom workshops with 300 people in it, and people couldn't get their questions asked. And when they were asked, the answer was, we haven't studied that yet. So it was just total BS, excuse me, but, so they have submitted their applications and the county is studying them. So there's actually 3 of them. You know, there's the SKA Hotel. There's the Village Hotel behind Siesta Key Resort. And then there's a new mentioned proposal, which replaces with Flavio's in that area. They're going to build a huge hotel in there that empties on the east side on that poor little road behind them, not even out on Ocean Boulevard. And so we've been preparing our arguments, and we've identified at least 5 different mistakes that they've made in the applications. And our intent is to file what are called demand letters. You file a letter with the county attorney saying this is just wrong. And then they're supposed to respond, and then you can use that as the basis of a lawsuit against them to say, you're violating the law, this isn't right. And have a judge tell them, stop doing that. So the first letter that SKA spent $5,000 of your dues on was to complain about the fact that the Ascari Hotel and the Anderson Hotel in the Village both wanted to apply to redo their special exception for height and transient use. Okay, the things that the judge threw out in October and said, no, this violates the comprehensive plan. Well, they went in December to the county commission and said, we'd like to come back and start processing that again right now, even though there's a county regulation that says you have to wait 1 year. And they said, we don't want to wait a year because that'll be after the election for the new commissioners in 1, 3, and 5 districts. And we don't like the prospects of losing the people we've already paid for. I didn't say it.
I know.
Then I did it.
All these technical people.
So we'll see what happens. We hired a lawyer who's well-known out of Tallahassee, not beholden to the local developers here. And we sent a letter to Josh Moya, the county attorney. And we said, this just isn't right. They passed this order and said they can go ahead and start processing their comprehensive plan, their special exception, and subject only to, it has to wait until after the comprehensive plan is approved. Okay, well, we said, well, what's the rush? Why you're going to approve a special exception for height, and we don't even know what the comprehensive plan might allow? You know, this is crazy. And by the way, the only reason you can get this waiver to come back sooner than 1 year, there's only 2 reasons. One of them is it is due to an injustice. Well, Catherine stood up down in December at that meeting and said, wait a minute, how can this be an injustice? This is because a judge ordered your permit to be rescinded. No answer. And the other one was it creates an unsafe condition to not build a hotel. What? What? The only unsafe condition is building the hotel. So that's what we said in our letter. At the workshop for Ask Gary, I finally got a chance to ask Charlie Bailey, what was your reason for this? And we asked Bill Merrill the same thing for the Village hotels. And you know what they said? It was in our letter. But I don't remember what's in the letter is what he said. We said, Well, I remember it said, the only reason you should build this hotel is because we need more hotels on Siesta Key. Nothing about safety, nothing about injustice. And then we pulled up the, the resolution, the board approves this on, they have to state what's called a finding of fact. Here are the reasons why we think this is legal. You know what it says? Nothing. Nothing. It doesn't say unsafe, unjust. So that's what our letter says. It's a really good letter. And our intent is, we sent it to Josh 2 months ago. Then we called him a month ago. Then we called him last week. We said, where's our answer? We hate to file a lawsuit against the county if we don't even know what your position is. And informally, he said, well, we don't have a very strong case, but we're not going to answer you. So.
He said you don't have a very strong.
No, he said he doesn't have a very strong case. Which I think we knew, but I just wanted to hear what they had to say before we spent $10,000 or $20,000 doing this.
Mhm.
The good news is that eventually they are gonna run the clock out and it'll be October and they'll be able to start it again, but everything they've done so far with their workshops, they'll have to redo. So I hope that's what happens. But the next milestone is at some point in time in the next few months, the petitioners are going to go in front of the planning commission, which is the preliminary step. And the planning commission has a lawyer sitting there to advise them. So guess who's going to stand up and say, I understand what you're doing is thinking about giving them a special exception. Isn't that illegal? And what's your lawyer telling about whether you should recommend this illegal action? Well, at least he'll be on the hot seat and he won't be able to say, never mind.
Mhm.
We're not going to answer that. So we'll see, but we're going to try that in front of the planning commission whenever that happens. And then a month or two later, it'll be in front of the Board of County Commissioners. We'll be back up there again, asking the same embarrassing question. And I think this is the strategy we have because there's no reason to spend a bunch of money filing a lawsuit if we can just kind of drag this out anyways and then make them restart. So.
With a new commissioner.
Yeah, and come November, or I guess this is December, November is an election, December, there'll be 3 new commissioners. And we only have one on our side right now, Mark Smith, but we might get another one. Because Neil Railsford, who is the Venice one, is being challenged by Tom Knight. Remember Tom Knight, the sheriff? He's in a primary in August. And we'll see what happens, but guess who's already talked to Tom Knight? Me. And Tom said, you can't vote for me, but I will support you. And I said, good, thanks, Tom. Here's a check.
No, he's a good man.
Tom's a good man though, and I think he will do the fair thing here, so we'll see what happens, but SKA can't endorse a candidate. We'll see what happens, but there's Teresa Mast is running for Mike Moran's seat. Any remember Teresa Mast?
He's blighted.
And she said that the gates to Siesta Key are going to be open because of my vote on the planning commission, which she's since resigned from. So, she's not a friend of ours. And the other District 5 is Ron Cutzinger, who's a developer, but he's got, well, we'll see which way the wind blows with him. But it takes 2 commissioners to stop a comprehensive plan change. 2. We know who one is, Mark Smith. And I think the other one could easily be Tom Knight. It's about 50-50 right now. There is a Democrat running or independent. I can't remember which it is. Independent. Yeah.
Alexa Cole, I think.
Yeah. So I understand why the developers are nervous about it. But we'll see what happens. There are four other things that we're gonna write demand letters on, or Jim is going to, using Ralph Brooks, a lawyer from Fort Myers. And I think there's a good chance that some of those can at least encumber the progress on this. And we'll see what happens. But no, we're fighting for you. And we're not gonna let even the existing mega hotels that got approved and then rejected get a pass. I know the comprehensive plan is something that Lourdes is going to fight somehow, but we're gonna fight administratively through all these things. Well, you'll see us in front of the planning commission, the BCC, and then it goes to the state for approval, and it comes back to the BCC. So this is kind of a long process because between each of those is a month or two of kind of administrative things. And what we're doing is building the record. Here's our complaint, here's how you ignored us. And eventually this is going to get in front of a judge and we'll see what happens. Any questions?
Good question.
Bill?
Yes. Bob, if you have a chance.
No.
Just 1 second. Bill?
With all the shenanigans going on here with the county commissioners, what's taking place here with, we talk legally, is there any point to get out of the county court system and into the state court system that would help us? Can we do that?
The question is, do we always have to fight this in the local 12th district court? You know, Lourdes and Jim were very successful there. The trouble is, on the promenade, they're back in front of the judge that recused himself. So we'll see what happens. There is an opportunity to perhaps get in front of DOA. I remember I said it has to go Planning Commission, BCC, state, back to the BCC. The state review is whether it complies with the state comprehensive plan. A lot of you probably didn't know there was one. But it's a kind of an interestingly written generic thing, but it basically says in the floodplain on Siesta Key or at the Barrier Islands, you can't make investments in public infrastructure. Well, I don't know what that means exactly, but what they're talking about doing now is, you know, a lot of infrastructure in terms of sewage and stormwater and fresh water and electricity. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we will challenge it there. And that if we don't like their decision, you do have the opportunity to go to DOA, which is the Department of Administrative Appeals. So when a state agency makes the decision, you can go around that, any court, and go straight to this administrative law judge. And that's what Lourdes did the first time, and she was very successful. And boy, that judge just lambasted the county and said, can't you read the comprehensive plan of your own thing? It says no increases in intensity. So maybe. I guess that would be an opportunity, but all we can do right now is follow the administrative procedure and make our complaints known. Like I said, there's half a dozen of them that we're aware of. You know, like I said, the workshops were terrible. There's a problem. They want to dredge and backfill part of the lake down there behind the Asgieri place. They have the unmitigated gall of it, saying they don't want to do a traffic impact analysis on Siesta Key. They only want to do the driveways in and out of the hotels. And so I went to the emergency planning people Tuesday and I said, are you aware of that? And they said, well, no. And I said, what are you guys going to do? Well, that's a good question. you remember when Sandra was here a couple of months ago, the emergency, she said, we're gonna come up with a plan to help mitigate hurricane evacuation. So I said, what does that mean? She said, oh, we came up with a schedule of define how big a bag of money the developers have to give to the county in order to qualify. And I looked at Rich Collins and Sandra and said, come on, you're kidding me. Oh, no, we're gonna make them do a study also. And I said, okay, well, we're waiting to see, but we're here to help you. If you want some advice on how much that is, the money ought to be, and what kind of study ought to do, but I said, the study they proposed, they don't even want to look at Bay Island to see what the impact of these hotels will be. And I said, well, there's 2 hotels you want to build in the village. Those people are going to go out the North Bridge and through Bay Isle, and you don't even want to include them in your study? You're crazy. Yeah, and we'll see what happens, but Rich is a pretty down-to-earth guy, but he submitted some comments already on the Benderson proposal. I don't know if you remember, but the Benderson proposal was they're only going to worry about evacuating residents. I said, what about the other people that are out here? No, the illegal aliens, visitors, you name it. And they said, the county, I was really proud. They stood up to Benderson and said, no, you have to include all of the people out here in your emergency evacuation plan. So Benderson had to go back and rewrite their comprehensive plan change and resubmit it. So I thought that was pretty good. At least it's a step in the right direction. Yes.
I hope you got a remote car, I need a car.
Yeah. I do think about that every once in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
There was somebody that wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I did. You've done very well. I hope they include pets in that evacuation.
Oh, you
too,
bet.
but,
Yes.
I think it would be, I know our, vote for Tom Knight, but I think, like you said, he's a good candidate for us to look at. I was just wondering if, since we can't specifically endorse him, if we could have him just come up and talk to our group one day.
I bet.
Because that would maybe increase awareness and also increase funding for his campaign.
Yeah, there was
You have
a,
to include all 3 of them so that we're not.
I think that in the past, Siesta Key and the Condo Council have invited all 3 candidates.
Right.
The coalition. did.
One at a time.
Well, or together,
Yeah.
kind of like a forum,
Yeah.
like a debate, sort of, but.
Yeah.
And Golf Debate hosted the last one, and it was good, so that's not out of the question. We'll see what happens here.
That's a good thought. We should talk
There was
about
already a fundraiser on Siesta Key 3 months ago.
Yes.
I
it. Right.
showed at a private home in Siesta Isles, about 25 or 30 people attended, and
Yeah.
we raised about $25,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he had another one at
The Tiki Hut.
Tiki Hut there in the village.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called, Siesta Key Resort and Suites. There was a big crowd there, and I think he raised similar amount of money there. So he's doing okay. He's holding even with Mr. Relsford.
I think.
The other candidate who I think would support the comprehensive plan and help us out is Alexander Coe.
Yeah.
Who I think is running, she's a Republican, will be running against Teresa Mass.
Right.
Yes.
And
That's
she's
right.
running as an independent.
She's an independent.
She's Republican.
I understand that.
She's changed to be an independent.
It may
I saw
be,
that she was running as an independent.
Oh, okay. I didn't
it
know
might be better
that. I seen her
because,
website, I went to a
Yeah.
fundraiser.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
at
she,
that point, but
He was,
2 months ago.
yeah, I don't know, so,
But anyways, if you look at her website, she clearly advocates for preserving the comprehensive
Right.
plan,
Right.
stopping out of control development. So she's a good candidate to support it financially. She and Tom Knight, I think, would be
Exactly.
great additions to the county commission.
Yep, I agree. Well, we've gone a lot, we've gone around and lots of good stuff, lots of details, and you will hear more, and if you ever have questions about, wanting to clarify something that we said, or we've been, our brains are full up, let me tell you, we're glad to share some, so please call and write to us, if you have any questions, anything, and we're in it. All of us, so,
Very much.
yeah,
Thank you, good job, Bob.
yeah. Okay, so I think we're about ready for supper, right? Isn't that about right? I haven't heard the bells ringing yet for the church to tell us it's time to go. We got 8 more minutes, so the only one good thing that I can tell you, and this is a very good thing, and I'm gonna tell you again, we'll put it up somewhere else. We keep a friendship with, Dr. Beach, although he says, gee, maybe people don't like me anymore since Siesta Key got so popular from being a #1 beach, you might not want me back. But he's a very good professor over at Florida International, wonderful scientist, and we have been kept a really good abreast of the things he does. One of the research areas has to do with capacity for areas, because he does international work and he has graduate students that are looking at this. What happens to beach areas and communities when there's just too many people? What happens to the culture there? This is in other countries. And so we're keeping up with him. And I want you to know he's made some interesting observations. And just the idea of we're full, if you think about it, none of these hotels will have a beach. Did you all realize that? Not a single one of them. So where are they going? So what I'm saying to you is we may have another legal basis for capacity. He has been really doing some work in this area. And he also is very much about prevention of aquatic accidents. Someone else found today. There's a new book he has out. I just happened to find it. He didn't mention it to me, but I will put a note about this out so you all can learn about it. I'll put it up on Facebook or something. But it's all about aquatic accidents and the things we can do to prevent them. And I think it dovetails very well with the idea of capacities and how people get lost with the crowds and you just can't pay attention to everybody. So that's all I have to say. Just one good thing for a friend that we started with a long time ago who wants to help us out. I just want you to know that, and we can invite him back, right? Okay. All right. I have nothing else. Anybody else? Comments? Well, thank you for coming. Spread the good words, and we will see you again in a month. I'm sorry, 2 months. 2 months. August. We take off July.
All right, I'm gonna close down soon.